Things I wish I had known earlier in life. There's an African proverb that says, when there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. Indecisiveness is an enemy. Fellas, listen. Never, and I do mean never, change your mind just to make your woman happy. I'm going to repeat that. Never change your mind just to make your woman happy. Now, that doesn't mean that her perspective isn't valuable. There are times when my wife might say something to me, I could have my mind locked on an idea, and this is the way I'm going to do it. And then she may come to me and say, well, have you considered this? And I may say, well, nah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Let me reevaluate. And so her input may make me change my perspective, but I'm not going to change my mind to make her happy. There was this one time this was early in our marriage, and I had, as the man, I felt like it was my responsibility to bring all of the luggage and bags out to the car and load the car and pack it and get it nice and ready, get the car ready to go. And this one particular time, she comes out to the car after I had gotten almost everything in, and she didn't like the way it looked. And so she said, babe, why don't you pull that out for me? Pull all that stuff out. Let's start over. And I'm looking at her like, you can't possibly do it better than me. She said, well, just pull it out and let's just try something different. I said, okay. So I pull all of the stuff out, and she proceeds to tell me, now load this way. Now put that way. Now put this one over here. It was almost like she was playing Tetris. And by the time she had all that stuff packed in, I mean, it was nice and tight and neat. And at that moment, I realized that when it came to that, and I guess maybe you can call it spatial awareness, that she just had a superior mind to mine. And so now when we go on trips, I bring everything to the car and I sit it at the trunk. And I wait until she comes out and tells me what she thinks or how she thinks things should be loaded in and packed up. In some areas, she's just stronger. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is changing your mind against what your gut instinct is telling you to do. There was when we first got married, I had a 1989 Ford Escort GT, all white, nicknamed the Ghost. Man, I really, really liked my Escort GT. I was part of a little Escort GT clique, and that was my car. It was my first car. We had 2 children, and we all fit in that car pretty nicely. But we got pregnant with a 3rd child. We had a 3rd baby on the way, and my wife wanted to go and look at new cars. No problem, let's go look at some new cars. And she was fascinated with the Dodge Caravan. So we get to the dealership, we test drive it, and she's marveling at it and talking about how much more convenient and how much more spacious, and going on and on and on about how she really, really liked this car and wanted this car. And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll be able to come back and get this car, no problem. She was like, no, we need to get it today. And I said, no, it'll be good someday. She was thinking this day. And so we go back and forth, and the more we talk, the more I'm bending to what she's saying. The problem was my Escort GT would have been paid off in less than a year. I think I had like 10 or 11 months left. The baby wasn't due probably for another 6 or 7 months. So I could have gotten us a lot closer, gotten my car paid off, and then gotten the minivan, or at least gotten toward the end of my contract a little closer and gotten the minivan. I just didn't have enough money to juggle 2 payments. But I let her influence my decision, my indecisiveness, and I traded my car in with only a few months left to pay on it for a minivan. Now, what that does is, here's the reason why you don't do that. One, it was just bad math on my part, but it was my fault. It wasn't hers, because I made the decision ultimately. But when you go against your own judgment of what you know instinctively to be right, it undermines the very core or foundation of what attracts her to you, the respect that she has for you. So in other words, if you don't trust your own wisdom, why should she? So again, foundational principles of male-female relating is much of how she relates to you is based on the respect that she feels for you. And so when you undermine your own ideals and you undercut your own wisdom by giving in to what she's asking you to do. Look, sometimes a woman will make a request of a man, not to get him to do what she's asking, but to test his capacity to do what's right. And when you give in to that thing that she knows is incorrect, and not only does she know, but she knows that you know it's incorrect, again, it compromises the integrity of the entire relationship. Look, I heard a man say once, I think it was Les Brown, he said, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." I knew that day that it was wrong to trade in my car, and I still know to this day. As a matter of fact, I still have flashbacks about how bad that decision was. But listen, the point is, never change your mind just to please your woman. Listen, when it's all said and done, all you can do is all you can do. And that's enough. Just make sure you do all you can do. That's the word. Peace.